So on to our latest bit of news.
Oh God,
I'll let you lead this one off.
I just have three words, and it's the official stance of the Book in the Territory crew. I don't know a person on the Book in the Territory JV Goon Squad who won't agree with this. I don't know a person on the Major who won't agree with this. But fuck Dave Meltzer.
So what happened here?
Yeah, you tell this because I barely kept up with it. So go ahead.
This all came up today. Yesterday, which was October 13th, Slam Wrestling dropped an interview with Billy Corgan. And he was just talking about numerous things, where NWA's at, what they're looking for in terms of a product, and this and that. And he was talking about NWA 75. And he was going over kind of what he felt were the highlights of it. And the first match he referred to was Camille versus Markova, which, of course, we were giant fans on. We don't need a whole lot of explanation there. But he also mentioned Tyrus versus EC3 for the World Heavyweight Championship on night 2. And while we all thought the match sucked, Corgan was saying that, and I'm going to put the quote on here, Tyrus wanted to tell a story where he went out in his Shield, and he did for people that complain that it wasn't a 5-star Meltzer jerk-off match, right? To me, it told a very compelling story. Now, from that...
Okay. So here's the thing. I read this article, so I didn't even realize what was going on until I'm midway through Tennessee, Texas A&M. So I'm worked up on something else. I'm looking at Twitter, and all of a sudden, what the hell did Meltzer say and Corgan say? And I'm going, what the fuck? And then I read about the Meltzer jerk-off stuff, and I go, yeah, go Billy, you're right. And then I'm looking for the article. I mean, Billy's right. Billy is right in that. I mean, I understand that point.
Oh, absolutely.
That makes total sense.
Absolutely.
And
he's making the point that, we're not out here to have our guys put on matches for the sake of Meltzer and the fringe internet crowd to pat us on the head. We're more interested in the storytelling. Yes, we want to have good matches. There's a place for that. It's part of the picture. But our priority is telling the story above that. And so Greg Oliver...
let me use a better example than Tyrus EC3, because that match was the shits to begin with.
Yes, it was.
So Trevor Murdoch, Nick Aldis.
Bingo.
Trevor Murdoch, Nick Aldis, from a professional standpoint, from a technical standpoint, from a Meltzer standpoint, we'd be lucky to get 3 stars on that.
Mm-hmm.
Just ballpark figuring, we get 3 stars on that. Being in the crowd, knowing the story that was being told, following the story for the 4 months it was being told. That match is 5 stars to me. Do you know why? Because it told the perfect story. Which, in wrestling, what did Jerry Jarrett say about wrestling? It's Shakespeare for the masses.
It is a psychological exercise.
Exactly. You're telling, and what better way to do it than to tell a great story? And that match told a good story. The right finish happened. Nick did the job. Nick did business. And that was a great ending to that story.
Yeah, we spent probably a good 15, 20 minutes talking about this when we reviewed that pay-per-view. And everybody was shitting on Trevor Murdoch as your champion, really. And it's like, y'all haven't been watching if you're saying that.
That's what you're telling me. You haven't been watching the show, and that's fine. But, go watch the story. I mean, people watching Camille versus Markova and just thinking it's a hardcore match. No, go watch the story.
Mm-hmm.
Go watch why that happened.
Right. So Greg Oliver takes to Twitter, and he is linking this interview. And he says, Tommy Malargo of Slam Wrestling that talked with Billy Corgan about many things, the state of the NWA, mixing wrestling and pro wrestling on the recent Smashing Pumpkins tour, and his dislike of talent to go out to do, quote, a Meltzer jerk-off match. Now, one thing, this dude's kind of paraphrasing and putting some words there that don't really happen. Okay, Billy Corgan never said he disliked talent to go out there and try to do that. He just said, my company, the way I'm running it, I'm not interested in that. Maybe he didn't say a word about, okay, if you've ever done that, I'm not interested in you. I'm never going to sign you. I don't want to watch you. Okay, so this Oliver dude's kind of paraphrasing to begin with.
Greg Oliver, who, by the way, noted author, and maybe he's going for the clicks.
Don't know.
I mean, that's what that tells me is he's going for the clicks.
Yeah, and he did tag Meltzer on that, by the way.
Yes, and by the way, I believe that was intentional because Meltzer is the type to vanity search himself. Mm-hmm. Allegedly. Let's not get sued here. Allegedly, he likes to vanity search himself.
So Meltzer sees this and he tweets out, "Poor Billy. Doesn't like Omega versus Ospreay, Usos versus Owens Zayn, Gunther versus Drew versus Sheamus, Danielson versus Jack, MJF versus Danielson, FTR versus Juice and Jay. Not only that, dislikes the talent in those matches. Pretty sure he'd die and go to heaven if he could get one of them on his shows." And so Meltzer then takes the kind of semi-non-quote and runs it into the ground even farther.
So, okay, wait. He continues on, doesn't he? Do you have the other stuff he said when someone was trying to respond to him?
Oh, God, no. I didn't go that far down.
Okay, you didn't go that far down, but no. let me just explain it very, very simple. That bud done worked himself into a shit. Did I tell you what now? Jesus Christ, Davey boy. Uncle Dave at it again. I mean... So Gunther versus McIntyre versus Sheamus. Motherfucker, I saw Trevor Murdoch and Dan Moff go at it. Those two are that same match. Hard-hitting motherfuckers who gave a fuck who won. It was just who's gonna live throughout the match. I don't know what the fuck he's saying about Omega. Who gives a fuck about Omega? Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah, that's the other part of it, and you touched on this. It's like, even had Corgan actually said that and buried some of these people,
yeah,
I'd still be agreeing with him.
Yeah. He
didn't.
I know. But the story gets better because of course it does. It's a wrestling business. Billy responded to what Dave responded.
Yeah. So this is how I became aware of this. The NWA tweeted out an official statement from Corgan. And it said, "Dave Meltzer has most certainly built his brand off the efforts of others, but unlike the great wrestlers he mentions, all of whom I respect and haven't said a disparaging word against, though he implies I have, Dave positions himself as the expert," in all caps,
which Dave has done. This is true.
"The expert on what is and isn't worthy of a fan's attention, as opposed to those who actually wrestle, or, for example, perhaps run a professional wrestling company 365 days a year. The NWA has a pay-per-view coming up on October 28th called Samhain. That's what matters. Fans arguing over worthy or unworthy champions, that's what matters and is the lifeblood of the business. Restoring the legacy and drawing ability of a company that's 75 years old, well, that matters a lot. Yes, all must bow to the opinion of one. No thank you, sir. Wrestling fans all over the world deserve better than that." And then, of course, you had a barrage of people saying, well, who cares what Corgan says? He had Tyrus as his champion for 9 months.
Yeah.
But I, from our show account, had replied to the NWA statement and said, apparently Meltzer's running low on disingenuous spin and having to resort to just completely making up stuff and putting words in people's mouths.
Yeah.
Frankly, our biggest disappointment here is that Corgan felt the need to respond to that juvenile outburst at all. And interesting, 3 people liked that tweet. One of which was you.
Yeah.
One of which was some bullshit fake woman account.
Whatever.
The third person was AJ Kazana.
But, I mean,
I'm going to say, just on a quick aside here, I am completely blown away by the amount of interaction our show Twitter account gets with the NWA talent.
Yeah, gee, it's almost as like it's almost as like they want the interaction, and they want it to help their brand, even though Twitter is a never-ending echo chamber.
I mean, we've got like 100 followers, and like 30 of them are people on the NWA roster. Yeah, they are not shy about interacting with us. That just makes me to no end.
Yeah, what are they saying about us now? Anyway, I mean, half the time, the only person we really shit on is Tyrus, and that's just because of his in-ring stuff. We've always said he's good on the mic. That's the thing. It's like
and Adonis, but he's actually winning this over now.
Yeah, he's actually because he's showing off a personality. So I mean, I guess Davey Boy was just bored this weekend, and people are saying, "Oh, he's defending AEW." Well, he's actually been criticizing AEW a little bit. And by the way, for what it matters, if he talks like that, Dave Meltzer's Booker of the Year has had a dwindling audience the past 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he had the biggest show in Europe in 10 years or whatever, his audience is his Booker of the Year's audience has been dwindling the last 10 months or 6 or whatever it's been. I mean, the point is, but the other thing with AEW. Or excuse me, I'm sorry. The other thing with NWA is the limited amount of the audience that's watching it. I get it. And people want to knock it. Fine.
Right.
And people want to knock it because Tyrus was champion. If that's your story, you can stick to it. But what I'm saying is now, get into it now. Don't be afraid.
When I said that the most disappointing part of this to me is that Corgan felt the need to respond to it, I mean that very sincerely.
Yeah.
Because one of the things about Corgan, like him, don't like him, like his booking, don't like his booking. One of the more endearing things about him is that at the end of the day, he's standing up in front of everybody and saying, you know what, this is my company. And I really don't give a fuck what you think. I'm going to do it the way I think it's best to run my company. And when he's replying to Meltzer making up shit that somebody else paraphrased,
which, it
kind of dings that armor. But I do appreciate the fact that they dropped the pay-per-view plug in the reply.
Hey, at least he knows to do that.
Awesome.
I mean, that's a good. I mean, I don't think Brett Lauderdale would know to do that. I don't think Tony Khan would know to do that until after legal cleared it. After legal cleared it, they put that in there. But